Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. It's 9 o'clock, which means it's time for a Talk Magic. And I've got an incredible interview lined up for you today. First of all, this gentleman I'm about to introduce has been on a Talk Magic interview before, and we're bringing him back. We've got a part two. That's right. This is a part two of the interview. The person who I'm going to be interviewing is an incredible performer, performs at the highest level, has won multiple competitions. He is a creator. He is a lecturer. He is one of the top performers in the whole of the world. He tours the UK with West End Magic. He is the current president of the British Ring of the IBM. And he is an incredibly nice guy, somebody I look up to massively. And I am, of course, talking about the one and only Oliver Tabor. How are you doing, Oliver?
Yeah, thank you, mate. Yeah, very good. Thank you. Thank you very much for that introduction. It's very kind of you.
But it's true. You are incredible. And thanks for doing this, because people probably have noticed you're in a hotel room. You're currently over in Los Angeles. You're going to the Magic Castle tonight, and you fit me into your busy schedule, even though you're on the other side of the world.
Mate, anytime for you. Yeah, no, I'm living in the glam world of a hotel room at the minute. So I've never been to the Magic Castle before, which is crazy. After all the years being a Magic, I've never actually managed to get to it. So I'm going tonight with my partner, Vicky. We've got dinner booked at 6 o'clock. And yeah, I'm so excited. I'm not going to talk about it, as I might explode. You know, it's just one of those, I've heard so much about it and I can't believe I've never been. So I cannot wait. So we booked a 6 o'clock dinner and we're going to spend all night there and just take it all in.
Oh, that's great, because there's so much you can do when you're there. There's so many shows you can go to, and there's so much magic you can see.
That's what I hear. And there's little hidden things, the bookcase. And I've heard about they use Irma, who plays the piano as well. The ghost that plays the piano. There's so much. Yeah, I can't wait. Can't wait. Yeah. I'm so excited.
It's a real experience. It really is. And you're over there partly on presidential duties as well, because you are obviously the current sitting president of the British Ring for the International Brotherhood of Magicians. So you're going to the convention while you're over there as well, the IBM convention. Is that right?
That's right. Yes, it's in Pittsburgh this year. So we're flying out there tomorrow night, actually. And we thought, as I've never been to the castle before, we'll just kind of over to LA, which is not really that. It's for short distance. It's like a 5-hour flight, but we just thought, well, we're here, why not? So yeah, so we're here LA till tomorrow night, and then flying to Pittsburgh, which is from Wednesday to Saturday of this week. And I've never been to an IBM convention, not one over here, the international convention. So that's going to be really good. And they've actually booked me for one of their shows, which I'm really
great!
Excited
You're performing on the
show.
show. Brilliant.
Yeah. Sean Farquhar got in touch with me. And he's like, hey, your name's been put forward by Billy Schray, who's the current IBM president, because he came to our convention last year. And he put my name forward. And he was like, we'd love to showcase you. And I was like, oh my God, it's amazing. I'd love to. So I owe Billy a massive one for getting on the show. So I
met Billy last year. He was such a nice guy.
Yeah, he's lovely, isn't he? And I think it's been a really good face for the IBM, because he's obviously a much younger president compared to a lot of people had in the past. And he's been really good for them. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I thought originally I was in the Wednesday show, the opening show. And then I thought I was in the Friday show, but I'm actually just found out I'm actually in the Saturday show, which is the gala show, which has been compared by Lucy Darling.
Wow.
So it's just like, holy smoke, it's just going to be amazing. Yeah, I can't wait. So excited. So yeah, it's turning from a really good trip into every day. It's just something's happening, it's getting better. So I'm really looking forward to going there tomorrow. There for a few days. And then I'm going to San Antonio. I'm seeing my old partner. I used to work with a guy called Scott Pepper. He owns a theatre in San Antonio, and so I'm popping there a couple of days. And he's organised a lecture for me to do. It's local IBM SAM club, so I'm doing a lecture there on Sunday night, and then I fly home on Tuesday.
You're just basically globe-trotting the whole.
Yeah, it is.
States.
And then I'm going to glamorous Ipswich. No, nothing against Ipswich, but I'm currently doing a tour of West End Magic. So I'm flying home on the Tuesday, arrive Wednesday morning, then we go to Ipswich to do a show that night. And then we drive down to Paynton on the Friday to then do another West End Magic show in Paynton on Saturday. And then Sunday, I'm going to sleep. And Monday. And Tuesday.
Thinking of all of this, man, that's insane. Well, and I want to talk to you about West End Magic, because when we did our first interview, we were kind of still in the pandemic, and everything was up in the air, and it was all kind of what's going to happen. Well, we know that we've kind of come through that, and the world is opening up again, or has opened up, which is great. And West End Magic was something that you always did. But you always did it in the West End, right? Hence the reason it's called West End Magic. But now you've took it on tour. You and Wayne are going around the UK. Can you tell me a bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Do you know what? It's been one of those kind of dreams I always wanted to do. So West End Magic's been going for 10 years now. The first show I did was in 2013 at Leicester Square Theatre. And I put it on because it was just self-indulgent. It was like, right, I want to put a show in London. And I want to be on the show with these people I always respect. So I had respect. So I had like Steve Hewlett, the ventriloquist. I had Richard Griffin, who is a big influence in the sort of magic I do. We had Christian Lee and also had Hijinks. And I put on the show that I always wanted to be part of. I just thought it's one of those things, you know, just why the hell not? Just do it. And then the theatre really liked it, so would you come back and do it again? So we did one in October, and then we did a few in the following year, and it just kind of gone on from that. And then it just suddenly came around to being 10 years. And then someone approached me, a guy called Stephen Medler, who puts out shows for Hijinks and Steve Hewlett and a few other bits and pieces. And he said, I think your show could sell really well. West End Magic is a brand that you could put anywhere. So he said, you fancy going on tour with it next year? And I was like, yeah, it'd be great for the 10th anniversary, it'd be really cool. So I thought it'd just be like, you know, maybe 2 or 3 dates or something like that. And he was sending it to these theatres, and we eventually got in 18 dates of shows, which is just like, and you can't say no, you know, when anyone wants to do a tour like this, Stephen's like, oh, we've got this theatre, do you want to do it? Yeah, okay. And then got another one. Do you want to do that one? Yeah, all right. And it just the list built up. So then we went to doing, so we did 21 shows in all this year. So we started in March at Leicester Square Theatre, which is kind of our residency. Then we went all around the country, and we're currently mid-tour. We've got about 10 shows left. And then we finish, so we did all these dates around the country, and we finished back at Leicester Square Theatre in October. So we're literally kind of going back to where we finished, to where we started.
Amazing. And are you going to be touring again?
Well, yeah, amazing enough, actually, about 60 or 70% of the theatres we've gone to have wanted us back. So we've already got 10 dates in the diary for next year already.
That's amazing.
So, yeah, it's crazy. It's one of those things which you just kind of run with it and know what's going on. And basically, that's all I do at the minute is just the West End, and I love it. I absolutely love it. You know, I think you need to have a passion, because you don't. It's one, you don't earn loads. It's easy to lose a lot of money from it, but you think you really have to have a passion. Like being a magical magician, you have to really, really love it deeply to do it all the time. And I love putting on shows. I really love showing audiences what great acts are out there and showing like a nice traditional magic show. So I'm loving it. It's literally taken up all my life, but I absolutely, it's great. I really do. And I love just kind of responses and just showing people that, kind of the different acts. So on every show we go to, we're taking a different guest act with us that's local to the theatre. So
that's great, because it's for people who haven't seen it or heard of it before. It's the kind of the two permanent fixtures of the act or the show are you and Wayne Trice, right?
Yes, that's right.
And Wayne is the two of you bounce off each other really well, because Wayne's more of a comedy magician, while a lot of the magic you do is very classical and very beautiful. And then you put a guest act in there as well, and then you've got just a fantastic act.
Yeah, just a bit of. We grew up watching the Paul Downs Magic Show, and they always used to have a speciality act on there, and they're saying there's so many great acts out there. There's so many amazing variety cabaret acts that wouldn't necessarily go on to the TV, for example, wouldn't necessarily make it, but they're really good. So I love kind of showcasing this to audiences and showing what great acts are out there, like Matt Ricardo, Card Ninja, and people like that. People who just are really fantastic acts, but more kind of like they're kind of so much mainstream. And also the nice thing about it is get to see people's acts as well. There's people around the country I've never seen, but I get to put them on the show and actually get to watch them from the side, and it's really fantastic. And it all seems to really kind of flow together. You say Wayne's more of the comedy compere, I do more of the kind of the classical kind of the silent type magic, I suppose. And then we have a guest actor who's kind of like high energy and offers something different. So it just seems to work well, yeah, better than we thought. It's really good. And we did actually have a warm up. We went to Edinburgh last year. We took it there for a year. Last year, and we did it for like 3 or 4 weeks, and that seemed to work really well, just to warm up, see how it would go. And we had a different guest act in that show from Edinburgh Fringe Festivals. We'd invite, for example, like Tom Crosby or Elliot Bibby or something like that, who had a show at Edinburgh and said, look, come and do a 10-minute spot, advertise your show, hand out flyers. And it seemed to work really well. And then so now we've gone on tour with it, doing like a 2-hour show. And it's nice as well, because every venue is different. So you have to adapt, like with any kind of the gig you go to. We're learning every theatre is different. You've got different sight lines, you've got different audiences, you've got different theatres, you've got different get-in sizes for things. So I work with my partner Vicky. We do an act called The Glamorists, and we have illusions, for example, but we can't always do them at every venue. So if we've got a smaller venue, then it's just myself and Wayne. If we do a bigger venue, then we'll get the illusions involved as well. So it's nice. So we kind of gives ourselves a bit of variety. And also as we go, we're kind of chopping and changing, adding new things into it and see what works and what doesn't. So it's a great learning process, because I've never done anything like this or put a show on tour before, but I'm loving it. It's really good. It's exhausting. It's really exhausting, but I'm loving it. It's great.
That's amazing. And for anybody who wants to go on tour with their own show, what one piece of advice would you give them?
That's a very good question.
It's a tough one.
It is really tough. There's so many things you could say at that point. One is set your budget. Make sure you've got a budget and know exactly how much you go out with. I recently did some shows at a barn venue that I put on shows every year, and I went crazy. So we basically did a show, the West End shows, we took to the barn theatre, and I went way over budget with advertising. I was like, all right, the show's coming home. It's great. Let's put it in newspapers. Let's do that. I went crazy. And I was like, oh, I actually made that much money. So if you're going to spend a budget on things, then I'd do that. I'd also say is when I've done shows before, I've always done all the PR myself, but I've got a PR guy, a PR manager, who saves you so much work. If you can afford it, they can get someone, because they're there to do a job like anyone. You know, you get someone to design a flyer because they're good at designing. You get someone to make a website because they're good at doing that. And I used to do it all by myself before, but I realized that the more people you can put this work out to who are specialists in their areas, the better it is. So having a PR guy on board who knows what to do and has the contacts is just a godsend, it really is. So I highly recommend doing that. And I'd probably say just enjoy it as well. Just enjoy the whole experience, because there's days which are not good and some days which are good, and some theatres will sell better than others. Audiences will just enjoy it. You know, we're literally living a dream, taking a touring show, my own show on tour. It's just incredible. Loving it. Really, I mean,
that is what, it's what people dream about, isn't it? Really, going on tour with a show.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. And it's one of those things which things are going to happen, and then suddenly just something falls in your lap, and it's like, yeah, just run with it, just go with it, and it's great. It's loving it. It's really good.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. And then obviously the other thing that you've got going on is you are the current president of the British Ring of the International Brotherhood of Magicians. Now, how did that come about? Because that's a real honor. And obviously we're going to be talking about the convention in a bit that's taking place in September. But you talked about Billy being a younger president in the US. You're very much a younger president in the UK as well, because incorrectly, the IBM have had this kind of almost like this stigma attached to them in the UK over the last few years, that it's kind of an older crowd. And I don't think that's the case, especially having been to the convention recently. But obviously you being the president must be really helping show people that that's actually not the case.
Yeah, I do hope so. Yeah, I think that's one of kind of the reasons why I probably was asked about it, really, being a kind of younger face. But you know what? Even before I became the president, I was on the council for 5 years. There were more younger members trickling through. So, and I think there's this kind of like this public perception of the IBM being kind of a bit old hat and running to the ground. And to be honest with you, I'll be completely honest with you, even though I'm the president, that about 7-8 years ago that was the case. It kind of, unfortunately, the people who run it beforehand, and nothing against them, they just, I guess, just lost a bit of enthusiasm in running it. So, and then ever since the younger council, for example, like Moira and Rick and Carol Tyner have come on board, put a bit more kind of, fresh energy into it. It's really kind of turned around. Especially the last 2 or 3 years of the convention, there's been a real difference. There's more younger crowd coming on, and you were there last year with the family, and there's a younger crowd, there's younger people coming into it, and it's really, it's turned a corner. It really has. And I think if anyone thinks it's still an old person's club and all that, I just think you need to come and look for yourselves and just give it a chance, because it's really changing. The things are going, some really good stuff happening with it at the minute. And I know I'm the president, I should be saying that, but just for taking my president's badge off and to speak as just just a normal kind of everyday magician or member, it really is kind of turned the corner. It's turning into a much younger, more acceptable society.
Yeah, and last year's convention was amazing. You had Tom Stone, Nicola Arcane, you had Elliot Bibby, you had Wayne Dobson doing his full show. You obviously had West End Magic, you had myself. There was so much going on. Like there was so much, and it was really great. And I was looking around and I was thinking, why aren't there more people here? Because this is as good as any convention that's going on that I know of. Like it's great. And you were seeing a lot of stuff there that I haven't seen at any other convention.
Yeah, do you know what there is? There is a lot thinking about last year, and we do pack a lot into it. It's 4 days, full days of magic. So there is a lot going on. We have, lectures, workshops, one-man shows straight from Edinburgh, gala shows, competitions. There is a lot going on. So, but even so, we never have events overlap. And this is the great thing about what we pride ourselves in, is we go to some conventions and you have to make a decision between either going to see a lecture or a show, and you can't do both. Whenever we put the program together, there's always a gap in between each event. So, for example, on the first day, we might have 2 or 3 lectures and 2 shows, and in the gala show, but you have a chance to go and have a drink in between events. For example, I can have a cup of tea or jam with friends or something like that. There's loads of opportunity to do that. So you never have to choose between 2 conflicting events. There's only one event at a time, which kind of makes it a bit more relaxed, a bit more friendly. We kind of call ourselves the friendly convention as well. So it's just much more kind of relaxed and chilled and much more friendly. You can see old friends. It's that sort of vibe that we kind of put across. Nothing too manic, it's just a nice relaxed convention.
And as much as I love Blackpool, and I love Blackpool, I really do, you need a holiday to get over Blackpool. You can't see everything. Like you're just literally on the go from like 9 o'clock in the morning until like 4 o'clock the following morning for like 4 days straight. Like it's almost in some ways there's like too much. It's like, oh, do I do that? Do I do that? Or do I do it? There's 16 things happening at the same time. Yeah. I need to pick one. Whilst at the IBM, you can, if you want to, check out everything because, it's so well spaced out. And Tom's lecture last year was one of the best lectures I've ever seen.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember I must want to go because that was a new lecture, wasn't it? It was stuff that he'd never done before, and he was the first time trying it there. Because I remember he said to me afterwards, like, did you like it? It's like, it's the first time I've done all this new stuff. It's like, Tom, it was amazing. So thank you so much for choosing us to come and do your new lecture. Because they were then him and Nicola went to a few lectures after that.
Yeah.
But I mean, having Tom, it's amazing being part of the IBM and doing these things. I get to introduce these people and meet these people. I mean, same as you must meet so many people from doing these interviews and chats and meeting people and heroes and all that. It's just an amazing thing to do. It's just fantastic. It really is. So it was last year. There's some great stuff on, and just the same as this year as well. So I'll give you a little taster of what we have on.
Yes, well, that's where I was coming to. Right, we've got the convention coming up in September, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. I'm going to be there. Ryland's there. My wife Sarah, my daughter Thea. We're all coming along. We had such a blast last time, but we're coming along again. Tell me what's going on, because I want everyone to come along to this convention. Because I know it's going to be incredible. I know you've built on from last year and you've made it even more spectacular. So I'd love you to kind of promote some of the stuff that you've got going on.
Mike, gladly, absolutely. So, right. So as I said earlier on, we do have so many different events going on. So we have kind of workshops, lectures. We've got one-man shows. Because it's only 2 weeks after the Edinburgh Fringe Festival finishes, we literally get these acts that have done their show for like a month, so tight and honed. So we've got a few one-man shows in that. So I'll kind of give you just a brief running of kind of the people we have. So the one-man shows from Edinburgh, for example, is we have Griffin and Jones, who won the stage competition last year.
Now, I hadn't seen those guys before seeing them in the stage competition. I have never been fooled as badly as that. I still remember it with the sweet job. No idea. But not only was I fooled, they were so entertaining. They were a proper double act. It reminded me of like Morecambe and Wise and Abbott and Costello. They just clicked. The two of them just clicked. It was brilliant.
They're amazing. Those two have been doing the Edinburgh Fringe for years, and you can kind of see it. I mean, they were doing their show twice a day for a month, as well as everything else. So you can imagine what their routines are like, kind of thing. But yeah, they're just like, I remember watching the stage competition, and they just came out with like a burst of energy. Do you remember it? Just like, you don't know what hit you. The two guys came out and then bang straight into it. You're like, whoa! It's just like these guys were amazing. But they are good. So they did their 10-minute act last year. So they're doing their full show this year, straight from Edinburgh. Which would be awesome. Yeah, it'd be amazing. I mean, if you just saw 10 minutes of them, imagine what an hour's going to be like. It's just,
oh man, just that alone is going to be incredible.
Yeah. So we've got that. We also got Jezzo, who's he won the stage, the Children's Entertainer of the Year last year at Blackpool.
Yes.
Who's just, he's crazy, he's manic, he's just crazy. So he's taking his show up to Edinburgh this year as well. I think it's at the Gilded Balloons. So we've got that show straight from Edinburgh as well.
That's great. And although he won the Children's Entertainer of the Year, he's a family entertainer. It's just as entertaining. He reminds me, he's kind of the ilk of like John Kimmo. Is like it's the sort of act that doesn't matter who you are. You can be a kid, you can be a 90-year-old, anywhere in between. You're gonna love his act.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, exactly. Anyone can watch him. Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah. And then also, which is one of our kind of headlines, we've got Charlie Caper.
Who's that? Oh,
yeah,
I've heard of him.
So I go to the next person. I'll go to the next one.
Yeah, skip. That's not big. I mean, this is a huge get though, because like he's never been at a British magic convention before, has he?
As far as I know, this is his first and probably not be the only UK convention he's ever done. The reason being is he's such in demand. I know Moira's been trying to get him for at least 3 or 4 years because he's all over the place. Because he's always doing the fringe festivals all around the world. He's in Australia, he's in Edinburgh, he's in Sweden. So we managed to finally grab him about 2 or 3 months ago, I think. So it's a real kind of scoop. So he'll be doing his one-man show, which I saw at Magic Live a couple of years ago. Actually, I saw him at Edinburgh last year as well. And he is like the magician's choice. If you ever ask a magician or a magic act at Edinburgh, what magic show should I go and see? They always say Charlie Caper, hands down. So we went and saw him, and he was just amazing. I mean, not only is he technically amazing because he does the thing with the bow tie that gives him really peonies, cups and balls, but it's just his ideas as well. And he works a lot with robotics and using robots, and it's so original. So yeah, so he's basically closing the convention with his one-man show. I'm actually not supposed to say if the running order is yet, but basically he'll be closing the convention. I know he's doing that, and also he's doing a lecture as well.
Wow, you've got him lecturing as well. That's brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we get as much Charlie. So yeah, that's like literally one of our headliners. We're really excited about that. Also, we've got Adrian Quillen. Now, if anyone went to Blackpool this year, Adrian was in the one competition, and he did the bar act.
I had him down as my winner.
Yeah.
I had him down as my winner. I was like, that guy's got it. He was one of the very first acts on, and I'm just like, right, you may as well stop the competition now. I was so shocked when he didn't win.
Yeah, I think a lot of people felt the same because he was everyone's favourite by the sounds of it.
Yeah. He was good.
He was amazing, wasn't he?
So original, so different. And it had that it had kind of those moments that you kind of, that Gaines and Bloom style thing, where just like, hang on a minute, where did that come from? Oh, now it's a little bit like you and your act. I always talk to you about it, don't I? Where the sign changes. I always miss it. I've seen your act probably about 100 times now, and I always miss that bloody sign changing every single time. It's the same sort of thing. His act is like things are just happening, and you just look back, and it's like, well, how did that happen? When did that happen?
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? It's one of those acts you want to watch over and over again. Just see it. So he's in the gala show, but also he's doing a lecture as well.
Oh wow, that's great.
Yeah, awesome. So I'm really fascinated to hear how he thinks and how he puts stuff together, because there's so much going on in his act. I'm just interested to see what else he does. So what he does, and then the show. So so that'd be great. Really good. And then we'll stick on the lecturers. We've got Christian Grace as well. So he was one of my personal favourites. And being the president this year, I get a choice of a slight kind of choice I want to be on. And Christian was literally at the top of my list. It's like, I've got to get him. I've never seen him lecture.
Christian is a good friend. I was on the phone to him just a couple of days ago. Right. And his brain works very differently to anyone else. Like, I've never met anybody that fools me as consistently as he does with a pack of cards. He can just bring out a deck of cards and show me something, and I'll just be there going, Christian, I've got no idea. And he's so humble. He'll show me something that's just like the single most insanely crazy thing I've ever seen. And then he'll go, oh, is it any good? No, Christian, it's awful. Yes, it's amazing. Like, he's so humble, but I mean, he's taking the magic world by storm, isn't he? It's just,
it's nuts, isn't it? And every creation he comes up with is exactly that sort of thing, like reaction. It's just like, I've got no idea.
And it's rare, but that you find somebody that does magic like this, that's entertaining for lay people, and you could tell, but also so fooling and entertaining for magicians as well. It works on multiple levels. It's just brilliant.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I say I've never actually seen him lecture before. I've seen him perform those times. He's shown me just bits and pieces, but seeing a lecture, so that's, in my personal, that was more for me. I always wanted to get Christian Grace and see him, so I was like, right, let's get him for the IBM convention. So and I know he'll go down the storm, and people will love him. So
he will.
Yeah, so that's yeah, really excited to have him on as well. So also we've got again, I'm so going back to you. So Yolin Lee, he was on the stage competition last year, the South Korean manipulator.
Yes.
Do you remember him?
Hasn't he been on America's Got Talent as well?
I think he was helping out his friend on America's Got Talent. But
That's right.
ever since he won the manipulation trophy last year. Now Yolin's been around. He did West End Magic in London. But again, he's such a lovely person. He's really humble. And then I was like, you need to come and do the stage competition, and you need to show people what you can do, get his name out there. So he did it, and then he won the manipulation trophy. But now he's off to win. He's winning everything. He came second in the Spanish Magical Championships recently, and he won something else somewhere else. And he's literally just flying up there. I think even he was in like a version of, it wasn't The Illusionist, but he was performing with like Topaz and James Monaco of others in like that sort of show in I think it was in Germany or Hungary or something like that. So within the past year, from doing that, he's literally just skyrocketing, going up, and he'll keep on going. So yeah, so he's in the gala show anyway, doing his act in the gala show.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I can't wait to see him again. So that'd be awesome. So yeah, and then we've got some more guys close to home. So we've got an old friend of mine, and I always wanted to get him on, as was Joel Dickinson.
Well, Joel has just set up the Miracle Factory, and whatever he calls it, and his material is just, working material for a real world performer. Like the stuff that he brings out, you can tell that he's worked it in a million times over. But a lot of people don't realize he's a great performer, a stage performer. He's just got it. He's just great.
Exactly. He's one of those people which can do anything. I first met Joel back in 2003. We did the House of Illusion together years ago. So I was in there that year with like Max Edwards, Gerald Dickinson, so I met Scott Pepper. And Joel, even back then, he's like, you can just tell he's just got something about him, and whatever he puts his hand to, he succeeds in doing everything. So you say he can do everything. He's like a close-up guy. We've had him on as a guest on West End Magic a couple of times this year as well, and just storms it. And it's all about him. He literally just walks on stage. He's only got like a couple of props, but you can entertain a family audience or an adult audience, or switch to a family audience and then kids, and then do stuff, but do some amazing stuff at the same time. And then his brain's constantly coming up with ideas. He sends me a video every couple of days, like, what do you think of this? And he just made a new video for this. I was like, man, when do you ever sleep? How do you get these ideas? It's just amazing.
Insane. He's brilliant. And he's got the best linking band routine in the world, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, he has. You're absolutely right. That's the one with the two Nora bands. You had about definitely.
Yeah, he's there's so many routines. If I sat down and thought about all the different tricks I do, there's so many routines I do that are created by Joel. He's great. And I've not seen him lecture actually before. I've seen his stuff, obviously. I've seen him, I know him really well, but I've never seen him lecture, so that's going to be really good.
Yeah, and that's great. It's great. He's actually doing a one-man show as well, saying that. As part of the convention, so he's doing a lecture and a one-man show, so that'd be really, really cool to see. Who else have we got lecturing? So we've got Chris Congreve as well. He was also
good old Congy. He's just going from strength to strength. I was on the phone to Chris Congreve last week, and he's just booked a bunch of lectures in October over in Australia. He's flying over to Australia to do a convention. He's over in New Zealand doing a whole bunch of stuff over there as well. He is another person. He's literally written the book on close-up magic over and over and over again, and he lives 10 minutes down the road from me, so we've gigged together many times, and he has this ability. I've seen him work live to real audiences, and he's this likable character. He can walk up to a bunch of people in a close-up environment, and within literally 10 seconds he can light the room up. They're hanging on every word he says, and his magic is strong, it's direct, it's powerful. You look up, I would say he's as when it comes to close-up magic, he's about as close as you can get to a magician's magician. Now Daryl's passed away. He just really, he knows his stuff.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, I agree. Yeah, I met him last year. We went to Belfast, and I met him there for the first time. I did his lecture. I think it's probably the best lecture at the convention, I think, because everything was just workable. Everything just get straight away and put into your act, or you know, into your set.
Yeah, him and I were lecturing. We were booked to perform earlier this year at the Rendezvous Magic Convention in Paris, and his lecture was fantastic, and hardly anyone in the lecture could speak English, but his lecture was just transcended the room. It was just great. Him and I both lectured, and then in the evening they had this close-up show on, and they had a close-up show, and we didn't realize, but we were told on the morning that we were both in the close-up show. And we were looking at who else was on the close-up show, and it was people like Mario Lopez and Tobias Dostal. And him and I were like, they can speak the language. We can't speak the language. Like, I don't want to follow Mario Lopez. I don't want to follow Tobias Dostal. And then we got told, oh no, Chris, no, it's not you, it's just Craig. And he was just laughing for like 10 minutes solid that I had to go out and do this close-up show that I wasn't prepared to do, following Mario Lopez. And I was just like, oh my God. He's got such an incredible sense of humor. He's just really funny.
Yeah.
And likable. And you know the thing about Chris, and it's the same, and this is about the convention as a whole. You're going to meet all of these names and all of these people. They hang out in the bar, they hang out in the foyer, because it's so relaxed. It's not just seeing their lecture. You'll see them all of the time. You can pick their brains. If you want to know about, you know, how Chris lights up a room, or you want to know about something specific, you can catch him in the bar and sit down with him. The same with everybody that you've mentioned. There's going to be moments and times where you can sit down and grab a drink or grab a meal with them, because they're, you know, everyone's there for a few days, and it's all so friendly, like you say, the friendly magic convention. So
yeah, that's the thing we found actually with pretty much everyone we've got on the convention, because some people, you know, maybe just want to stay for one day, do their lecture, stay for one night, and then go. But because they've heard it, you know, and it's so relaxed, then literally everyone on the show that we've got booked off the convention is going to stay for the full 4 days, because they just heard about, you know, it's a great convention to be at, and it's so friendly. And you're right, and the stage door, which is basically the pub right next to around the back of the convention centre, is going to be open till late, and we've kind of got that every night. Actually, we've kind of taken it over. But also we're introducing kind of like a fringe element this year as well, slightly fringy. So we're basically going to, if anyone wants to get up and do something late at night in the bar, then they go ahead. We're going to have, like, you know, a little stage set up with a little microphone, and we're going to do things. It goes back to the years ago. There used to be like a fringe event like the IBM years and years ago. So we're kind of trying to bring that little element back as well. So after the convention, there's still stuff going on. So, you know, things that happen, things get up, people that can do things, you know, other things happen. So it's kind of that sort of element to it as well. So yeah, probably won't sleep for a lot. Just keep on going all night. So it's that sort of element. So yeah, so just other people we have. So we've got a guy called John Henry Larson. He's part of Tom Stone's Mystique crowd. You know, there's the Mystique show in Sweden.
yeah.
So he's coming over as well, so he did an act on Penn and Teller, and he's got some really crazy ideas out there. Have a look on YouTube. He's a bit kind of eccentric, but he's just kind of, you can imagine someone that works in the show with Tom Stone, who's just a genius anyway. So he forms a part of the ensemble group, Mystique, where they make up a different show every month. So to being part of that group and having that sort of mindset, he must have a very creative brain. So,
Wow.
So yeah, having him on there as well. And as far as I know, I don't think he's been in the UK either. I think it's his first UK convention.
Great.
So he's cool. It'd be great to have. Yeah, really good to have him there. We've got Keith Fields and Lady Sarah as well. They always come over from the States.
Well, they're brilliant, aren't they? They're absolutely. Are they going to be on the gala show?
Do you know what? I should know that. I think they are. Yeah, actually, I think Keith is comparing the show. As far as I know, I'm actually going to see him in a couple of days, so I should ask him. But I'm pretty sure, yes. I think they might be doing a one-man show as well. I mean, Keith does everything. You know, he's one of those guys who just put anything to do. He can do a lecture, he can do a one-man show, he can do a gala show, he can do a close-up show. He's just one of those all-rounders, because he started his days pitching at Covent Garden years ago. So we went to the Magic Circle recently, and me and Wayne went for a curry after, and we just happened to sit next to John Lanahan and Keith Fields. And Keith's been there and done it. You know, he's been there for years, and he knows everyone has done the whole lot. So he's just, it was a lovely guy to hang out with, and he's just like a fountain of information. And he just wants people to do anything. So he's a really, really great person to watch. Yeah. And then also we got to the Ghana show performance. So we've got, so every year we have a deal with City. City looks after us very well. City comes on the show for us every year because Richard was the past president. But this year, Richard's going to be doing some of his illusions. If you ever saw Extreme, the touring show that went around the country
I did. And I thought it was the best illusion act I've ever seen, ever. And me and Ryland went to watch it. And Ryland was just there. And when he did the finale with the bike, I've never seen that kid more fooled in my life. Like, he was just... It was such an incredible show. And just to put it into context, Richard Cadell's not a young guy anymore. And he's ripped. Like, I mean, wow. Like, yeah, it was an incredible illusion act. It really was.
It is, you're right, it's insane. It's proper high energy as well. But I remember seeing it, so I went and saw him after and seeing something, and his illusions are beautiful as well. He did a story and a half, a thin line story and a half, but the base was made out of perspex. It was see-through. It was just stunning prop. But anyway, so he did about, as far as I can remember, he did about 3 or 4 different escapes challenges in that show. So his illusions are basically going to be more that kind of like the dangerous aspect of him trying to escape from things. So that's what he's going to be doing in this show, which I don't think he's done since, actually. So it's great to have him on board for doing that, and also he'll be doing a City show as well as part of it. And the City show, do you know what? Everyone loves City. I don't. You can't say you don't love City, but everyone does love City. But you know, again, going to see something like that, seeing it, and City's been going for so many years. I think she's 75 years old this year. City, looking very good for his age, I have to say.
He's looking good. Looking good. But, no grey around the yellow. He's just. I don't know if he dyes it. He might do. You know, I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it needs to be very sensitive subjects. Yeah, just kind of approach it lightly. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, his show's always, you know, it's always a good fun. It's great fun show, City, and it's made for kids and children. But it's just like the great thing about Richard and what he did when he took on Cities. I mean, you revisited the old City routines from back in the day. You know, you got the old routines that had the magic in it, and then put a new lease of life into them. And then put it to the show. So, and as it's the 75th anniversary, I imagine he's got some quite special things lined up.
Yeah, well, I got a chance to interview him on Talk Magic a little while ago and listen to his whole story, and you can just tell how passionate he is about the Sooty brand and being the person that's responsible for it. It's something he takes very, very seriously.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? Rich is such a lovely guy, and I was up for anything. So as part of my IBM presidency, I had to organise a dinner, which I did in my hometown of Southend. And Richard said I might be able to come with it. And I was like, you know, I wonder if he brings City. Would he do that? I wonder. So I just kind of, anyway, me, I was like, look, you know, I understand you don't want to do this. Just want to come as enjoy the dinner. But I was like, you know, what's the possibility of you know, if City drawing the raffle? Would that be all right? And he's like, yeah, if you want me to, I'd love to. And I was like, amazing, thanks so much. So he came, and City, I mean, Wayne loved it as well, because Wayne was there with City, pulling the tickets out, reading the, you know, who won the raffle. And then Richard and City stayed there for the rest of the evening doing photos with everyone, you know, because it was literally like it was the end of the night. And, you know, it was my president's dinner, so I wanted to make it as special as possible. And you know, I had guys like Richard Griffin was on it, and I had Griffin and Jones, I had the Card Ninja, all kind of acts which are like big favourite ones of mine. And then a lot of my friends were there, so I had all sorts. I had kind of my magic friends in the IBM. I had local magic club people, and I had my friends and my family. And having City there was the real, you know, it was the real cherry on top of the cake, and it really made it. And he was such a great guy for doing that for me. You know, I really owe one. It's fantastic.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
he's one of the nicest guys I know. Yeah,
absolutely. And you say, and he's just passionate. He's got that love for magic and performing. You know, it's great. Really it's fantastic. So yeah, having him doing illusions and doing City as well, that's gonna be great. So I think that's as many names I can give to you at the minute. I'm going to give it all away because we need
Well,
to keep some back.
yeah, I mean, that just there is more than enough names, like, and then some. Like, the names that you've given me is brilliant. But I mean, let's not forget about what I think is one of the best parts of the IBM, which are the competitions. Like, I remember the first time I properly met you was when you kicked my ass at the stage competition many years ago. And I love watching the competitions. I really do. I love watching the stage comp. I love watching the close-up comp, and a lot of conventions have dropped their competitions these days, but it's something that the IBM continues to push. And obviously, you've got the Ali Bongo micro marathon, which and Nicola Arcane won last year, and is open to literally anybody. The competitions are great. I think that it's one of my favorite parts of the whole convention, to be perfectly honest.
Do you know what, Mitt? I agree with you as well. I mean, I'm probably a little bit biased because I organised the stage competition for 5 years, but that's only because I love it. I had the competitions about 7-8 years ago. I had a bug for competitions. Like, I want to go and do one. You know, the dream was to have ever go into FISM, and that was always the aim, to get up there. And I always think these competitions are a bit of a stepping stone up to that. It gives you the experience to do it. But yeah, I agree, because you kind of see the people, the acts that are going to be there the next couple of years, the big acts in the next couple of years, like Yolin, for example. Yeah, he kind of just moved to London, was doing a few things, entered the competition, and it was like, man, who's this guy? You know, and now he's just gone up and up. And I'm passionate about supporting people and helping people and trying to get up there and doing what I want to do. And competitions are great to enter, I think, just to experience, to give yourself a bit of a challenge, you know, something to work on. But also from a spectator's point of view, it's great to watch competition. I love watching competition, from FISM competitions to the least competition. And you say there's not many around. I think we're the only convention that does both close-up and stage.
I think you are.
We're the only ones that do it now. But they're always kind of, you get some surprises in them. It's always great to see every time. So that's probably my highlight, I think, of seeing what's possibly out there. And I know we've got the close-up competition. I think we were overfilled about 5 or 6 months ago. We had a waiting list that people want to enter the close-up competition.
That's great.
Yeah, it's been like that for the last few years. And then same for the stage as well. The stage has always been a little bit hard to try and get people involved, because there's not many stage acts these days. But it's kind of turning a corner, and we're getting some more acts in. So yeah, just kind of watch that to see who's going to be the next big act, who's coming tomorrow. Like Griffin and Jones, for example, they wanted to get into the magic community. And I said, look, go enter a stage competition. And I said jokingly, you'll probably win it anyway. And I was like, oh, we don't know if I want to enter it. It's like, seriously, just enter it, you know, just to get a bit of exposure. You might get booked for a convention, or you might do a lecture or something like that. And they did it, won it. And now they're doing lectures and conventions and all that, you know. It's just, and no one had heard of them before. So it's great giving something to the audience, that, you know, because everyone was blown away by them when they first came on, because no one knew about them.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's best. That's definitely one of the highlights, let's say, the competitions. So yeah, we have 2 of them over the 4 days. Then we've got the micro marathon as well, which is basically kind of like, well, Ali Bongo set it up, which is why it's named after him. So it's just.
I entered the very first micro marathon.
Did you?
Yeah. And I wasn't meant to, but I was asked at the last second to enter, to make up a number, because somebody dropped out at the last second. I entered. And it was really good fun. I didn't win, but it was really good fun. I remember, like, there was it had never been done before, and we were going around and going to various different tables. And I remember walking up to the first table, and it was people like Brad Henderson and like just like the biggest names at the convention was sitting at this one table. And I walked up to that table first. I was like, Jesus Christ, what the hell am I doing here? But yeah, it's very informal. It's very fun. I love last year's, because it was all just taking place in the convention bar, and everybody was going up to everyone else, and the acts were coming around, and it was great to see somebody like Nicola Arcane, who I just watched her lecture, and then doing the stuff that she did in the lecture actually there, and I was watching her doing it for real people, and it's like, yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's kind of like a fun. It's almost like a party, isn't it? This competition, because it's like, the reason Andy set it up is for real world situations. So it's set up. We do it in a bar. So basically, all performers go around different tables. So you sat at a table, and you get at least whatever 5 or 6 competitors come around, and they do like their close-up set. It's as if you're in a restaurant or a bar. So it's really good fun. It's noisy. You've got all the different tables going on, and it's really good fun, a good experience as well. if you
Really.
want to. So yeah, so that's the 3 big competitions we have, and that's literally spread over the 4 days. So to give an example of like one of our days, what we have there. So the opening day, which is on the Thursday, we have like an opening show, like a one-man show, as we had an Edinburgh show, for example. Then we'd have a couple of lectures. Then we'd have maybe another show, and then on Thursday night is the stage competition. So that's the first day. Then Friday is very much similar, the same. So we have like a history of mystery. So we have a couple of people giving history talks. It used to be organised by Eddie Dawes, but unfortunately he passed away. So it's now been handed out to someone else and other people. So we're kind of doing, carrying on those talks in his honour. Then we've got another couple of lectures that day. Then we have a couple of one-man shows again. Then we have the Ali Bongo Micro Marathon that evening. And then on the Saturday, we'll have even more. So we've got the actual close-up show, we've got the close-up competition, we've got more lectures, then we've got the gala show. And then on the Sunday, we've got just as much again. So we've got a couple of one-man shows, a couple of lectures, and we've got the youth show as well. And then Charlie Cave will be finishing off by closing the convention at the end. And that's just a brief description of what's happening. You know, I could list out exactly what we're going to give in each one, but I'm going to save for later on. But so there's a lot going on every day, to say, but it's never too exhausting.
So if people want to come to the convention, what do they do? Because one thing I found from people who have never been to the IBM before, they get a bit confused because it's like, well, you can be a member, but you can go to the convention. Like, do I have to become a member to go to the convention? Like, if somebody isn't an IBM member and they want to come to the convention, what's the process?
Okay, it's very, very simple. So all you have to do is basically go onto the website, which is britishring.org.uk. And you click onto there, and it's basically go onto the convention page, and you can just buy your registration online. It's that simple. You don't have to be a member. If you are a member, you get a reduced rate, but you don't have to be a member. You can come as a non-member. I think that's the thing that people are kind of always worried about is you can't come to the convention unless you're not a member. It's not true. It's not true at all. We welcome everyone. So go onto the website. Yeah, go onto the convention page, and it's just as simple as you just signing up, registering there, and then you can pay online. That's it, really. It's that simple. You can go for a couple of days. You can go for the whole weekend or the whole 4 days you want to. You can just go for the gala show. We sold at separate registrations, but it's that easy. Really simple.
That's great. It's super simple. And it's running from the 7th to the 10th of September.
That's right. Yeah, 7th to 10th. So yeah, 4 days. We tend to have a little meeting. We're going to have like a little informal, if anyone wants to get on the Wednesday, we'll probably meet in the stage door, which is the pub we're going to be in, that kind of a meeting place, and have, if anyone wants to come out to have a jamming session, we'll do that. Also, incidentally, I need to add as well, actually, that we used to have a convention hotel for many years, and for some reasons we couldn't keep on running it. I think purely for cost reasons and for logistical reasons. So we always know how important it is for people to meet up and to jam and session. So the stage door is kind of like our official, unofficial headquarters, if you like. So there's plenty of time to go and jam with friends, session. You know, that.
Oh, there's lots of
yeah, we make sure there's space there for everyone. So after each day, you can go into there and jam if you want to.
Yeah, absolutely. And the little restaurant stroke ice cream parlor on the opposite side of the road to a lot of the stuff that's happening at the IBM is one of the greatest ice cream parlors that I have ever been to.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, most seaside towns tend to have their ice cream brand. I'm from Southend, so there's a brand there called Rossi's, which is the best ice cream in the world. Well,
Rossi's is now owned by a magician. Do you know that?
Yeah, it is indeed.
Yeah,
that's right.
So, which is cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, magic full circle, exactly. Yeah. But everyone seems to have this ice cream parlor in opposite the convention centre it's like kind of something from the 50s, isn't it? It's like a little ice cream parlor of the 50s, but it does the most amazing ice creams. Like these big creations. It's like a sculpture or something, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just amazing. The convention last year, I was sitting in there like just constantly with Tom Crosby, and that's a perfect example. You know, like Tom's a lecturer there, and he was just there. People were coming up and hanging out with him, and that's the vibe. You summed it up perfectly when you said the friendly convention. That's exactly what it is. It's everyone's there, whether you're one of the acts on the gala show, whether you're a lecturer, whether you're somebody who's new into magic. There's literally, you know, the opportunity is there to just hang out and just have fun.
Absolutely. And you know what? It's for any age group as well. You know, we're trying to attract more youngsters for this one. So we've encouraged some families, and families, you know, you went with your family last year.
My
And
family had an absolute blast. And what was nice about it is because it is a seaside town and it's September, the weather's still nice. You know, Thea loves magic, but not as much as Ryland. So me and Ryland were hanging around watching the lectures, and Thea and Sarah were off going into town, you know, having a look around, seeing the sights, then coming back and watching a show, you know, coming back, watching the gala show, whatever. And it was perfect. It worked really well, you know, because it's a place where there's so much to do outside of and beyond the magic convention. So
yeah, no, absolutely, yeah, you're right. I mean, Eastbourne's a lovely place anyway. It's kind of like a proper traditional seaside town, isn't it? And there's so much to do. So and it's also just September, so it's just the end of the summer. So there is lots to do if you don't want to go to the convention necessarily for the family. But I know there's a few families of magicians coming this year because, as you say, it's there's so much to do. There's so much for everyone. And you know, if you don't want to see lectures, then they can come see the one-man shows.
exactly.
So,
Exactly. So I'm going to be there. Ryland's going to be there. Obviously, is West End Magic performing again? Because you.
No, we're not this year. Well, probably because I'm not because I'm
I
not
suppose.
President's role. I think I've got enough going on this year.
Yeah,
So
you've got presidential duties.
Yeah, exactly. They've got a lot to do. I mean, I wanted to enter this organise the stage competition, but I had that. So I basically not taken away from me, but they said, look, I don't think you should be able to do that this year because you're going to be too busy doing presidential stuff. So I'm going to be running around doing too much of that, I think. So no West End Magic this year, but Wayne will be there. He's going to be helping out. So he's kind of part of the team. But maybe we'll be back another year. Hopefully it'll be good. But that was great last year. I mean, we also had Ryan in the show as well.
You did. He had a blast. He had so much fun doing that. He really loved it.
Yeah, it was amazing, wasn't it? It was so much fun. It was really good.
Yeah, it was great. Thank you for asking him. He loved it.
No, pleasure. Well, I keep on saying I'd love to get him again. It fit into his busy schedule, when he's free.
I'm sure he would drop everything for you. He's a massive Oliver Tabor fan, so I'm sure he would. But yeah, the convention's going to be amazing, and as normal, Oliver, you are such an inspiration. You're doing so much. You're the perfect choice for president because you promote magic to everybody and anybody. You are. You are in many ways the magician's magician as well. I always say how fantastic your act is, but I see you at almost every magic convention, and you will just spend time with everybody and anybody. And that Newmarket meet that Wayne Goodman organized last year, seeing you there, and just there were so many new people that were like new to magic, and you were sitting down with them and helping them, and I can just tell that that's what you're all about. And it's just fantastic that magic's in good hands with people like you. I was speaking to Noel Qualter a little while ago, and he said that his attitude towards magic is really simple, which is when you leave, when it's all said and done, and where you leave magic and you're gone from this earth, he wants to have put magic in a better place than it was when he first became a magician. He wants to have, in his own way, advanced it in some capacity. And I can see that that's what you're doing as well, in spades and then some.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, mate. Thank you very much. Yeah. Do you know what? We over the years, got so much help from all the people that I looked up to over the years. And I think it's really important to kind of pay that forward. Because, I think the real kind of lessons, the real help, you can't necessarily find in all the magic books or the magic DVD or downloads. You get that from other people and advice. And I think the more generous we can be, and the nicer we are to each other like that, the better the magic world will be. I just think you need to just be just kind of be sensible with it and pass on information and make sure people do as best they can and help them do that.
I agree, 100%. 100%. Well, thank you so much for the catch up. Thank you so much for the incredible interview. Congratulations with your successful presidential term, with the convention, with West End Magic, with everything that you're doing. You are absolutely smashing it. If people want to come and see you on tour outside of the convention, is there a website where they can see the dates that you've got left this year and next year?
Yeah, so the West End Magic Show, if you go onto westendmagic.com, and it's just got a section in upcoming shows, we're always updating them all the time. So we've just got the shows for this year up to October, and then next year's dates will probably add in the next few months or so. But we've got all our dates there. We've got about 8-10 dates left, I think. We finish in October at Leicester Square on the 14th, and we've got Sooty actually as our headliner. So yeah, again, Rich, just again, really, really nice. So I just said, look, what's the chance of having Sooty there? And he's like, I'd love to come and do it. So, so for that one, we've got, who have we got for that one? We've got Jezzo. So we had Jezzo on the West End show recently, and he's just like a powerhouse, just like high energy, just for, if we were talking about earlier on. We've got Mark Shortland, and we've got Richard Griffin, and Wayne and myself, and then me and Vicky, the Glamorous, we're doing a couple of bits as well. So it's a cracking show. The ones we always do in London always have more acts. The ones we go off on and do around the country is always myself and Wayne do predominantly the show, and then one guest act doing a couple of acts. But whenever it's in London, it's always a whole roster of different acts every time. That's what basically what it's down to really. Is just trying to get as many acts on there and show people what great acts are out there. As I said earlier on, I just really important. So yeah, so all the dates on the website, westendmagic.com. And it's got access. Yeah.
So people can go and check that out, and people can go and watch your show, and they should do, because it's brilliant. And then outside of that, they can go onto the British Ring website, and they can book tickets, and they can hang out with you, me, and everyone else that's going to be at the convention.
Absolutely, definitely. Yeah, it's going to be good.
Amazing. Oliver, thank you so much. I hope we have a fantastic time at the Magic Castle tonight. Enjoy your whirlwind tour of the US, and as normal, if there's ever anything I can do for you, please just let me know.
Oh, thank you, mate. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're more than welcome. Guys, leave a comment down below. Let me know if you're going to the convention. Spoiler, you should do. Leave a comment down below. I'm sure Oliver will see it. And I will be back again soon with another video. But on behalf of Oliver Tabor, thank you so much for tuning into this week's Talk Magic, and we'll see you again soon.